fire crackling in the background. I love it. It's so like aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like I have a fireplace, but I don't really have a fireplace, so I'm here for it.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nora, and thank you so much for watching. Before we jump into today's video, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow your girl on Instagram. It'll probably be up over here on this side because you already know we are growing the family across all platforms, okay? We are growing, baby girl. So for today's video, you see I've got my beverage because, listen, I am here to chat, okay? I've got my handy dandy notebook to make sure I have all my notes right here in front of me, but we are here to chat today. So as you guys could see by the title, I wanted to film this video to kind of share 10 things I wish I knew sooner. I guess you can kind of call these life hacks, pieces of advice I wish I knew sooner, but just 10 things that I felt stood out to me in, you know, my still young 29 years of life that I wanted to share. And, you know, with the year wrapping up, we've got Christmas coming up and New Year's, I felt like this would be a really great time to share kind of, you know, the top 10 things I think that are important that all of us should know and I wish I knew sooner. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and let's jump right in. So for tip number 10, life hack number 10, piece of advice number 10, whatever you kind of want to call it, put yourself out there. Now, I feel like I've done a pretty good job with this throughout my life, but I think it's definitely something I wish I knew sooner, and I wish a lot of, you know, my friends, peers, cousin, and just everyone knows as soon as possible. Put yourself out there. And I'm not saying put yourself out there in like a unsafe, outlandish type of manner. No. But I oftentimes, you know, reflect on, you know, my life and experiences I've had and think about things that I've missed out on because I didn't put myself out there. Or, you know, that job you didn't apply for because you read the requirements and it said looking for 3 to 5 years of experience, but you have a year and a half or two, so you didn't apply. Or not going for that audition because you know, well, I didn't get to train as long as some of these other people, but you know deep down inside you have the skill set for it. Again, I'm not saying you've never sung a day in your life, you don't have a passion for singing, everyone pretty much told you can't sing, and then you go try out for American Idol. That ain't what I'm saying here. But put yourself out there. I'm sure all of us can sit there and think back and reflect on different times and situations and things that we probably missed out on because we were too afraid, or we let a list of requirements tell us that we weren't qualified for something, where honestly, oftentimes if you just put yourself out there, you're either going to achieve it or it's going to open other doors for something else that you are absolutely prepared for. So I felt like that was an important one to share, starting off with number 10, put yourself out there. Coming in at number 9 on 10 things I wish I knew sooner are that boundaries are imperative. And I don't know if this is especially something for us women. Ladies, let me know down below if you guys feel the same way about this. But, you know, oftentimes I step back and I realize, you know, maybe I've overshared, maybe I've opened myself up to too many people, maybe I've allowed people into my life a little bit too soon, a little bit too quick. And I know, especially women, we tend to get together and it's like, oh my God, you're going through the same thing I'm going through, or you meet someone and you're so quick to kind of word vomit everything out there because you're just like happy to have someone else to talk to and vent to, that sometimes you gotta step back and realize, okay, sis, there's a boundary there, and boundaries are important. Boundaries are important to have for yourself, and boundaries are important for you to express to other people. Especially in this, you know, today's day and age and in our society with social media. I know I talked about it in the last video. I think a lot of times we feel that we're entitled to other people's lives. We're entitled to their time. We're entitled to their 100% full attention. And yes, there is a time and place for that, and depending on the person, but there are boundaries, and there are boundaries that we all have to recognize are important to protect ourselves, self-preservation, but are also important for other people. You know, just because you are interested in someone doesn't mean that you should automatically have all access to all aspects of their life, and vice versa. And, you know, that's something that I definitely had to work on because Me being a Libra, it's like all encompassing. I love everyone. Let's find a balance, happy medium. But sometimes I would see that I was yearning for more than what someone was ready to give me at that said point. And I'm not even talking about, relationships with a partner or anything like that. It's just understanding that boundaries are important, and you have to be able to have that fine line in understanding, when someone is ready to share something, when you are ready to share something, that's okay to have. And again, self-preservation is not a bad thing. Sometimes it can be debilitating, but self-preservation, I think, is important to make sure you maintain your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. And it's okay to sometimes tell people, hey, this is kind of something I want to keep to myself. This is private. This is for me. No, not right now. And maintain those boundaries. So at number 9, boundaries are definitely imperative. So number 8 might be a little bit more for some of my younger watchers, but honestly, even if you're not in school right now, I think this is something that we all should definitely think about. And it's that grades are not everything. And I know some people are gonna watch this, my brothers, my parents, and are probably gonna chuckle a little bit because, okay, I didn't love schoolwork. I was just competitive. So I did well in school, if that makes sense. I did well in school because I didn't want to be last. And it was kind of one of those things where I love my friends. I like being here, hanging out with them. And since I have to be here, why not be the best at it? So me saying grades are not everything is probably funny to some people because I graduated with honors, but grades are not the most important thing. And I say all of that to say the relationships and the connections that you can make with your professors, your advisors, with, college coaches or any coaches of that matter, I think are what is even more important. I did well in school because yes, I applied myself. I do pick up and learn things fairly quickly, but I think a big reason as to why I was able to move forward and really be successful throughout my, school, collegiate life is because of the relationships that I built. Making sure that I was volunteering as much as I could, making sure I was nice to everyone as respectfully as much as I could, helping teachers, building relationships, making a point to go and visit them, going to office hours, even if I didn't necessarily need something. And I know some people might listen to this and take it as, okay, so you were a kiss ass. No, far from that. Far from that. But I think, nurturing those relationships is truly what helped me get to the next level. It's the reason why I got into the honors programs that I got into. It's the reason why I was able to join different dance teams and cheerleading teams and have all the extracurricular, because I also took time to foster and nurture those relationships with other people around me. Even my classmates, I made a point that, I wasn't a bully by any means necessary. I don't even like the word popular. I went to a small school, it was 500 of us, so everybody knew everyone anyways. But, I made a point to not bully anyone and not be a shitty person to anyone. And I have found that a lot of those connections, whether they were best friends or not, definitely have, helped in other things later on in life. And it's not even just to say treat people right so that you can hopefully get something in return, but, focusing especially in school, not just only on the grades. Obviously apply yourself, do the best you can, but also apply yourself in the relationships around you and really try to foster those relationships, because I'll tell you, even now in the corporate world, one recommendation or one lack of recommendation can make a world of a difference. So grades are important. Apply yourself, obviously try your best, but they're not the end all be all. Now, number 7 is a recent one I actually just made a video on, so I will be sure to link it down below for you guys. But again, comparison is the thief of joy, and comparison and really getting stuck in that will deter you from your ultimate purpose and achieving that success that you yearn for in your life. I know it's hard for us to stay away from it entirely, being in the world that we're in. Social media, we are literally blasted with images of happy thoughts and happy people and happy lives, whatever that may mean. But comparison really can, stifle that happiness and stifle that joy and that progress and that success. I'm not gonna go too crazy on this one. If you guys really wanna hear what I have to say about comparison is, thief of joy, I do have a video and I'll link it down below for you guys. But I thought that was an important one. And again, coming in on this list at number 7, comparison is a thief of joy, and do as best as you can to remember You are you. God designed you exactly the way that you're supposed to be, and you are exactly where you need to be at this point in time. All right, and number 6 is a big one. I mean, a lot of these are very important and they're all super important, but this is a big one for me. I would say this is not necessarily one that I personally needed to learn, sooner than later, but through like meeting different people, I think this one is important, and it is travel more. Travel more. And listen, no, this is not passport Twitter coming at the rest of you guys to shame you, as I know people like to say on Twitter, because it's not even just necessarily international. It's not even necessarily you need to have a passport to hop a flight somewhere to say travel more. But even here in the United States, I am surprised, like literally shocked sometimes when I meet people and they're like, oh, I've never left the state. I've never really traveled. I lived in Dallas, and this is not even to call out Texas or anything like that, but I lived in Dallas for 4.5 years, and the amount of people that I've met who were like, I've never left the state of Texas, which Texas is massive. You can drive 14 hours in Texas and you're still in Texas. I get that. But I'm like, okay, so you have been living in a bubble. You've been living in a place where everyone, for the most part, obviously, you've got some diversity. And this, again, is not even just Dallas, Texas. But if you've never left your town, your neighborhood, your city, your state, you're living in a bubble of people who, for the most part, think, look, act, move exactly the way you do. And I have to say, I am very fortunate. My siblings and I, my cousins and I, we are very fortunate. We came from a family where, we were on planes at 14, 16 months old. I got my first passport, I was 2. I was on my first, I think, transatlantic flight at like 2.5, 3 years old. So I do understand we were definitely very fortunate. But again, even outside of having to go, across the pond, as they say, take a road trip, travel, visit other places. Even here in the United States, we obviously like to call ourselves the melting pot. Travel, the amount of people that you can meet and just get a chance to open and broaden your horizons to different mindsets, different principles, different ideologies, different traditions, and just to learn, I think is such a blessing. And, we live in a country where you've got buses, you've got trains. Again, if you can carpool, there's so many ways that you can travel that it's almost a shame when I talk to some people and they're just like, yeah, I never really did. Or I love being from Boston and I love Boston and I couldn't imagine traveling anywhere else. And I'm like, huh? Make it make sense. Make it make sense, okay? Because for me, there ain't no way in Jesus' sandals I'm not hopping a flight, driving somewhere, or taking a road trip to at least visit elsewhere, because I have found that doing that forces you to learn. It forces you to step outside of your comfort zone. It forces you to just see how other people do things. Not to say you're gonna agree with everyone, but there is so much more to learn in this world and in this life that I think it's important to just freaking step outside of your comfort zone, hop in a car, go on a train, and just go somewhere. Even if you're going for a day, 24 hours, for a weekend, even if it's you starting in your hometown and re-exploring and diving into different things, I think travel is imperative and something that I think honestly can only benefit you in the long run. Oh, and I know I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, I have the bottle over in the kitchen, but I am drinking Justin. Didn't even do that on purpose. I just happened to grab the bottle when I went to the liquor store. All right, and at number 5, it is take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first, okay? You cannot go out there and get anyone else's shit, anyone else's house in order or organized if yours isn't first. Now, this does not mean you need to be perfect. This does not mean that you need to be happy at all times and you never have any issues and you are just happy-go-lucky. No, that's not what that means. I am not saying that you need to be utter perfection before you step out there into the world, into a relationship, into friendships or anything. That is not what I'm saying. But focus on you first. I myself, again, not to go back to like astrology, I know a lot of people are not into it, but just saying, like, I myself as a Libra, I get this from my mom so much. A lot of my aunts as well, cousins, so many of us, but especially my mom, we are so big on giving every ounce of ourselves to other people and oftentimes forgetting to pour that same energy back into ourselves. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have seen my mom put together an event, for other people. It's not even a party for her. It's nothing necessarily that she needed, but I have seen this woman work her ass off, put in extra hours, cook 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours, prep parties, and do all of these things. And I'm watching her run herself into the ground just to be able to experience that one moment that the person that she's throwing the party for smiles and is happy. And I'm not even saying all the time that she takes ownership. Now, obviously, if you say you're gonna throw a party for somebody, do it to the best of your abilities. But if you know Carol, if you know my mom, shout out to my mom, that woman will give every ounce of her being. And I'll tell you, there are times where I'm so hard on her because I can see her not pouring that same energy into herself, where I wanna literally just be like, Mom, take a break. It's okay to tell people this month, hey, I'm sorry, I can't throw the party at my house this month. And again, if y'all know my mom literally lets anyone throw a party at the crib. And I'm like, sis, you are not a function hall, okay? Take care of yourself first. And I think that is so important. A lot of us, care about our family and our friends and just want to give as much as we can. And that's beautiful. Don't change that about you because it's a beautiful thing to have. But make sure you are also pouring that same energy into yourself. Make sure you are focusing on yourself. Make sure you are having self-care days. And this goes for everyone. This is not just women. This is for my men too. I see a lot of guys out here who are crushing it, being great dads, being great friends, working in their, professions and whatever dreams they're chasing. And I also see they forget to take that time to pour into themselves as well, because you're supposed to be a guy and you can figure it out and stay strong because you're a strong man. And it's like, no. He deserves to take care of himself as well. He deserves to have a self-care day. He deserves to have a mental health day. And I think it's important for all of us to take care of yourself first. Pour into yourself first, okay? I chuckle sometimes when I think about this because I'm sure all of us can remember being on the plane, going through safety instructions. They always talk about the little, mask falls down. And I always chuckle too because I'm like, wait, how the hell do you tell somebody that? But what does it always say? They always tell you, place your mask on first and make sure it's secure before you help other people. And it's so crazy because even in the little video, safety video they show, it's like a mom or a dad and they put their mask on first before even helping their kid. So it's like, it's not a negative thing. As much as I know sometimes, we can feel a little bit guilty, like, oh, I don't want to take care of me first. But sis, if the airlines is telling us the same thing, put your mask on before you help little Cedric, take care of yourself first, okay? All right, and at number 4, I wanted to share, first impressions, guys, do matter. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, and this might also just be like my recruiter mindset coming in, because I do know some people say, well, sometimes people are nervous, this, that, and the third. I'm not just talking about interviews, but first impressions do matter. Again, no one is saying you have to be perfect. No one is saying you always have to get it right the first time. But don't be a bitch for no reason, okay? Don't be rude for no reason. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm the first one to say, you give me that energy, I will give it back, okay? I'm working on it. It's a character flaw. Don't come for me. But first impressions are important. And it's kind of just like that old saying that we all learned in school. And, obviously, if you went to Catholic schools, they talk about it as well. But do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And if you don't want people to treat you like a piece of shit and be an asshole, then don't give that same energy to other people. And again, first impressions oftentimes make lasting impressions. I'm human, I'm not perfect. And yes, I can say there have been numerous times that I've met someone the first time and they rubbed me the wrong way. And the next time I met them or hung around them or talked to them, I immediately kind of wrote them off because I remembered that. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but we're human and a lot of us do it. First impressions matter. It's important to make sure, again, kind of like I went back to talking about grades are not the most important. Pay attention to how you're acting in school. Pay attention to how you're acting in classrooms. Pay attention how you're acting when you're going to, these different events and there's coaches there and there's other people that could very well down the line benefit you in some way. It is important to make sure that people will take that little nugget of you and tuck it in the back of their mind. And that's all it takes is that one time and that one memory to maybe affect a decision later on in the future. So I think first impressions are definitely important. Put your best foot forward. Obviously, don't be fake. Don't fake the funk. Definitely read energy. And if you can kind of feel someone's giving you the weird vibes, act accordingly. But I think it's important to make sure first impressions, put your best foot forward and do the best you can. Now for number 3, this might be a little bit, I don't want to say controversial, but maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but family is important. Family is very important, and oftentimes family truly is the center of it all. But sometimes your family can be wrong as well, okay? Sometimes your family can be wrong too. And, you know, I've had this conversation with some of my cousins, and, you know, us coming from, you know, immigrant parents, a lot of us are first generation, you know, Haitian, African, Caribbean background. There are a lot of things that, you know, being here in America, my parents haven't experienced, or my aunts and uncles haven't experienced, just because life for them was a little bit different. And not to say that they're doing things ill will and your parents are being malicious. Sometimes they just don't know because they haven't been exposed to it. And I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't want anyone to take this as me trying to tell you how to parent your kids, how to be or talk bad about anyone's parenting. Again, I've never been there. I've never been in the shoes as a parent, so that's not what I'm saying. But parents can be wrong too sometimes, you know, and it's not their fault to say that they're just out here steering us wrong. It's no, they can only talk from whatever experiences they know. They can only talk from what they've seen and what they've been through, what they've learned, and what wisdom has been able to teach them over the years. But, you know, I've had, you know, cousins and peers and friends who, you know, you wanted to chase one dream, and maybe your family didn't think it was the most traditional. Maybe your family thought it was a little bit unorthodox to become the photographer of the family. And, you know, as much as they tried to steer you away and kept telling you it wasn't the path to go on, you followed your dreams and now you're shooting Vogue. Now, I know there's gonna be plenty of people who say, well, Nora, that doesn't work for everyone. That doesn't happen for everyone. Yes, sis, we're aware. Thank you very much. World's smallest violin. Like, we know that, but still, to say, who knows if you were the person that would do that? Who knows if you're gonna be the next Spike Lee or the next Tiana Taylor? If you're gonna be, who knows what you could accomplish? And you know, sometimes your parents are wrong, and that's okay, and that's okay to understand, and give them the opportunity to say, hey, I was wrong. Give them the opportunity to learn, because I think a lot of times, you know, our parents, our family, we look at them and we kind of put them in this box where it's like, nope, that's my aunt, that's my uncle, that's my sister, that's my mom, that's my dad. They're not progressing, they're not changing, they're not growing as a human. And it's like, no, they're still growing, and they're still learning as a human, and they're still making mistakes, and they're still trying to get better. And this is not even just parents, you know, even me. There are times that I've given my brothers an earful, and, you know, here we come, you know, full circle, and I'm like, okay, I was wrong. I was wrong. You figured it out and you pushed through, and you were fine. So if you can kind of make peace with that, and again, I'm not saying, oh, your family can be wrong, so now be a jerk to everyone and be rude and completely dismiss what they say to you. No, that's not what I'm saying. But allow them some grace and understand people make mistakes as well. And there are times your family might be wrong as well. And that's the beauty of life. You know, all of us are kind of figuring it out at the same time. All right, and number 2, I love this one. This is definitely not something that I feel like discovered recently, but was definitely a piece of advice that I wish my 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old self knew. And it is that credit is not scary, guys. Credit is not your enemy. Credit is not bad. If you take the time to educate yourself and really understand how you can have credit work for you, you'll be fine. Y'all, let me tell you, I'm gonna put my Haitians out there again and my Africans out there again, and I know a lot of us can attest to 18 years old, 19 years old, and it's like, oh, no, you wanna what? You wanna open a credit card? You're not gonna, no, credit is bad. Credit's not bad. Credit's not good. No, it's gonna ruin your credit. Y'all, I was scared of credit. I was scared of credit. Like, oh my goodness, I'm never taking a credit card out. This is not gonna be good for me. I'm just gonna, and it's like, there was so much more into it that, you know, obviously now in hindsight's 22, that I'm like, okay, a lot of it is just, we didn't know. The education wasn't there, and we didn't understand how we could have credit work for us, but credit is not scary. I think it's important that as families and generations, we start to have the conversation a little bit more and do talk about credit, because I think it's important. I don't even like the fact that credit is put on such a pedestal and is of such high importance in America, but that's a whole other conversation. But credit's important, you know, nevertheless, it is important, and it definitely helps with a lot of different situations in life. It definitely opens a lot of different doors. And I think it's important that we start to have those conversations early on. And, you know, I definitely think if I had known earlier in like 17, 18, 19 years old, you know, I probably would have opened a credit card sooner. You know, my financial literacy and just education around that might have been better. But you know, as I'm getting older and learning, and obviously I've made a ton of mistakes, gotten better, made some more mistakes, and still learning. I'm not an expert. I'm here to share that definitely on this list. I was going through this and I'm like, okay, 10 things I wish I knew sooner for sure is that credit is not scary. If you can take the time to educate yourself, and we can all educate each other, YouTube, there are a ton of resources out there on the internet. You will find that credit, if handled the right way, is your best friend. We're making progress on this glass, okay, y'all? I love this little like stemless glass. I think it's super cute and just really easy to hold. But yes, so to round it out, the number one thing that I wanted to mention on my top 10 things I wish I knew sooner, and let me tell y'all, I love this one because I feel like as I'm getting older, I am starting to embrace this even more, and it is to have the audacity. And again, I know some of you will hear this and be like, okay, Nora, hold on, because some people be having the audacity in situations that they shouldn't. And yes, you are right. But as we sit in a time where we talk about manifestation and vision boards and putting our ideas out there and planning and chasing goals, I think it is important to remember, have the audacity. And this again kind of wraps it all up and brings it full circle in saying, you know, put yourself out there. Have the audacity in knowing, you know what? A lot of people probably thought I couldn't do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and try this anyways because I know I have the gusto to do it. Have the audacity to take that leap of faith and really jump out there and chase your goals, chase your dreams. You know, I have cousins that I talk to all the time, and I know I talk about my cousins a lot, they're my best friends, but I have cousins out there that, you know, left corporate full-time jobs and left careers that they had been in for a long time that was, you know, according to everyone else, the steady and the safe path. And they had the audacity to say, you know what, I am not living in my truth and living in what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not living in what I know is my full purpose. So I'm gonna have the audacity to walk away from the security of that job and give my all into this passion, this project, and my dreams and my goals. And I think if we really pushed ourselves and started to kind of funnel that into ourselves earlier on, it gets me like so like, oh, I don't even know. It gets me so crazy to think like, damn, if we just had the audacity 10, 12 years ago, where could we be now? And listen, it's never too late. You know, there's definitely a lot of time to still jump into that and live that way. And again, I'm not saying go out here, have the audacity and do careless things and make stupid decisions. That's not what I'm saying, but have the audacity, you know, have the audacity to step out of your comfort zone and push yourself and do more. Our mental is so powerful, and what our brain can really push us to do is insane. And when you really have the audacity to just tap into that and say, yo, I thought it, I can do it, and I can achieve it, and I can pursue it, sky's the limit. And I know as cliche as that sounds, but it really is like sky's the limit. And I think it's so important to make sure that we are pouring that kind of energy into each other to say, yo, do it, have the audacity. Oh, so they didn't think you could start that clothing line, have the audacity to do it. They didn't think you were gonna drop out of college and, you know, all of a sudden pick up a camera and figure out photography and grow this way, have the audacity to do it. You know, they didn't think the young Haitian kid who was gonna come to the United States was gonna follow his dreams in culinary and now own his own restaurant. Shout out to my pops, okay? Have the audacity to do it. And I think that's just a beautiful mentality to have. And step out on faith, man. Step out on faith, trust your mental, and yeah, have the audacity to do it. And that is it, you guys. That is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Not necessarily like a girl talk video. It was just, again, something else I kind of wanted to share. And through reflecting, you know, over the year and just kind of where I'm at, these were some things that were on my heart and I wanted to share. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. If there's some other things that you feel like are things you wish you knew sooner, pieces of advice you wish you got earlier, life hacks, whatever it may be sure to share that down below. And let's continue the conversation. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow for another day of Vlogmas. Bye, guys.
Lives under the tree. It's the best time of it. for the fool